Right, guys, there's the progress so far. Now, I've put the dial cords on. You know about dial cords. You didn't really want to see me struggling for half an hour trying to work out these things. I did have a diagram, but of course, we don't read a diagram, do we? No. You think, oh, I'll remember this. I know how that goes. And, well, with this one, there's a small one that goes to the shaft that goes around for the drum, and there's the main one that goes and takes the pointer around the drum. So yeah, but it's working okay. All right, so what else I've done, I've replaced the wires on the dial lamps. Well, we have to do this because we're just about to put the dial glass on, and these little clips either end hold the glass on. So that's it so far. I'm sorry I didn't record this, but yeah, really, dial cords, we're all over them. Yeah, it's it's one of those things. This is nothing special. It just takes a while to work them out, and yeah, they're silly things. They look so simple. Okay, let's get the glass, put it on, and get on with the alignment. Now the glass, when it came off, it did have some rubber type tape down either side of the glass for the clips for these fellas to go over. I'm just using some cloth tape and putting down just down each side, just so it protects the edge of the glass. This seems to work fine. It's just a standard medical cloth tape, and yeah, it just, as I said, protects the edges of the glass, and yeah, just helps everything go on easier. Our glass is fairly central, both ends. Okay, so we'll move the dial pointer along. Now, this is the pointer itself has been glued onto the string, so it's fairly solid. I don't want to move that, so if there's any setting here, we unscrew our little screw and alter our tuning gang to the extreme ends rather than move this. Okay, so if we go up here, we can see a set pointer mark there. If I bring yours in and try and get yours fairly central there. Okay, you probably can see that. Here we go. And, oh, that's pretty close. That is very close. If we go to the other end, we've got a marker here. And yes, it's spot on there. It looks a little bit to the right on the camera, but from where I'm looking, it's spot on. And that's, yeah, certainly close enough. So right at the end there. Okay, so we're going to leave that. That's certainly in the right position. So now it's get on with the alignment. Well, guys, you think these dial cords are really out to get us? I just turned the camera off after I showed you this. Just check the cord again. And this one failed. It didn't cut through or anything like that. It just pulled apart. So I've had to go back and put a new dial cord on anyway. So yeah, it just goes to show you that they're always out to get you. So you mightn't have seen the old one. There it is, and yeah, it just pulled apart. And when you're doing these, take them out over the roundish part of the disc. Don't put them in near the sharper side, which I hadn't, but it still failed anyway. Anyway, let's get on with it. Okay, guys, it's finally time for the alignment. So here we go. Okay, now I've taken the leads off the speaker. I've connected them to this speaker over here, which also has a dummy load, so I can, don't have to listen to the noise all the time. We've got our meter, which is connected to the speaker. Radio sitting here. Over here, the SIG gen is set on 455 kilohertz at 150 microvolts at the moment. Okay, nothing is connected at the moment. I'm going to close the gang right up. Okay, not that this is critical. And my SIG gen, I'm connecting to the grid of the ECH33. Okay, so it just goes across to our tuning cap, and there we are. Right, okay. Now we can see some meter movement here. I'm sure we can. There you go. Now, what I don't want to listen to is that noise all the time. So I'll switch into dummy load. Turn our volume up. Okay, so we've got to keep an eye on this meter while we tune. Now, first things we tune, the IF. So we do this. I go to nearly always the second IF for the last one. Then I go back to the first one, and I'll repeat that sequence a couple of times. There's one slug on the top. There's one on the bottom of each one. And, of course, this is for the newbies. This is in case you're just wondering what I'm doing here. Okay, let's... I'll just get a bit better screwdriver here. That's not fitting. Yeah, not fitting real well. Just a moment. Okay, this one's a little bit better. Now, as I go along, I'll be using my alignment tool, not the screwdriver. But for these, the screwdriver is fine, as long as when we're underneath, don't short it out on something else when we're underneath. Probably good practice to use your alignment tools. Okay, let's see, can we improve this signal? I'm screwing him out there, trying to find a peak, and he's a little bit hesitant, this one. I think we're just, I think we're at the peak there. Gee, that's a bit tight. Yeah, there's our peak. Okay, right there. Right, now we'll do the one underneath, which is underneath here. Now, there's a wire running across there, and as I said a little while ago, don't short things out. So I'll just push that capacitor wire. That's, an earlier fix, and it hasn't been done real well. Okay. Here we go, and oh boys, almost at the peak there. Yep. Okay. So that one's done. While we're underneath here, we'll do the first IF, the bottom of him. And yeah, that's making a little bit of difference. These, here we go. These slugs have There, these slugs on the end of them, the slot's been filled with some sort of garbage. Now we'll go to the top one here. Oh boy, you're nearly off camera there. I just noticed just. Okay, so now we'll do this one. And, gee, he is really, really tight. There we go. And boy, that's tight. I don't know what's. If you get one of these, clean it out before you start. Okay, here we go. There. Now we're talking. And we've got to back him off a little bit. So we'll back off our RF coming in. We'll go back to this. If I can get this screwdriver on. Okay. I think the little screwdriver might be better on this one. There we go. And pretty well at the peak there, I think. Yeah. This is a bit, he's acting a bit strange. Let's see, can I do this by hand? There's our peak. Okay, I'll go back underneath again and see, can I get a little bit out of this one? Nope. That's our peak. We'll do the bottom one, or well, IF number 2. That's peaked. And this one, I'll try and doing by hand as well. That's going down, coming up, going back down. So there's our peak. Okay, so they're both done. That's the 455 kilohertz alignment done. Okay, so now it's the RF. So let's have a look at the instructions on the service manual. I think I've got them on this, and we'll see what they say, how we go about that one. I mean, we can do this by ear and by looking at the dial, but let's have a look at how they wanted it to be done. Okay, guys, we've got the service manual, but yeah, this one does not give any alignment details at all. So let's do this. Now, we'll start up this end. We'll put our pointer on 600 kilohertz. Okay. We will set our generator over here on 600 kilohertz. And then we'll adjust our broadcast oscillator, which is this fella up here, for 600 kilohertz, and bring it into line on the dial. Okay, so we'll do the low end first. We won't go any further than that. I'm just describing what I'm doing next. Okay, 600 kilohertz. Okay, there we go, 600 kilohertz. We're at 100 microvolts. I will feed that signal into just the aerial. That's all we need at the moment, straight onto the aerial. Okay, now, and ground. Let's put our dial right on 600, which is up here. Okay, and we'll turn up, and yes, we're there, but that's about 650 at the moment. So we come back down to 600, which is right there. Sorry if I had my hat in the road then. Right on 600. Let's adjust our oscillator coil for 600. And we've got a convenient little hole at the back there to go through. How am I going to show you guys this? And turn him around. And we're not going the wrong way. This way. I should be rocking him. This is a little bit tricky. Should be rocking him backwards and forwards. No. We'll go back in and try and bring in 600 there somewhere. Screw him in, and there he is. Okay, so we've got to loosen this nut off a little bit. Just be careful when you're poking your fingers in here, it gets a bit bitey. So don't do as I do. There we go. And we can peek that on the meter as well, if you want. You can turn your speaker off, increase our signal. So we've got our meter up there, and now we can peak this right on 600. There we go. Right, now what I've got to do here is tighten this lock nut up so that this doesn't move. Meanwhile, watching our needle to make sure he doesn't drift away. Okay, or drift away too far. And now we'll just make sure of where he is. He is spot on there. There's a couple of kilohertz, well, a couple of tiny pieces either way. It's not going to matter much, really. Okay, just tightening. I shouldn't be using pliers. No, I should have a spanner that does this, shouldn't I? And I do. Okay, that's locked into position. 600 kilohertz is done. Now, what we'll do is, am I going around in circles here? I think I am. We'll go up to 1400 kilohertz, which is right there. Okay, so we'll come back. We'll go right to 1400. Now we're going to adjust our trimmer capacitor up here, and we'll just get our diagram to see which one it is to put ourselves right on 1400. So recall 12, there's 1400, we're at 100 microvolts there. Let's just see how close we are. So we'll turn this back on, and oh, not far away, a little bit. So he's just got to come back just a little bit. Now I think the trimmer on the Plum Pudding is it's our antenna and shortwave antenna. There, the first one. So the first one towards the front of the radio is our antenna trimmer for 1400. Let's turn him around. I hope you guys can follow this. I'm fine at doing it. Sometimes explaining takes me a while. Now guys, on these little Plum Puddings, the trimmer oscillator for 1400 is this little fella here. Now that's a preset fella where the wire's wrapped around a ceramic former and cut off at the precise length, and that sets the frequency. So yes, we're slightly ever so slightly off, but it's only a needle width, and I'm not going to pull this one apart and unwind him or put more wire on. It's that close that that's fine. But that's how they used to do the trimmers. Give you a little bit closer picture there. Okay, so it's that fella there. And it's just a wire wrapped around and around and around and then cut off, so it keeps him at the frequency. Okay, so there's not much we can do there. Now, we'll go back to 600. No, while we're here, we'll set our antenna trimmer for maximum signal. So we'll tune this in. We're on 1400. Just watch our meter. Okay, I'll turn that off so we're not listening to that. We can now go to our antenna trimmer, which is this little fella here, and go for maximum signal. And there we go. I'll turn him up a bit so we've got half scale, and there we go, maximum signal. But as you saw, I'm using a screwdriver. I'm going to get my alignment tool. Okay, got the alignment tool. Let's go down through here and peak him again. As you saw, the screwdriver makes a little bit of difference. We shouldn't be using metal on things like this to tune them. And there he is. And can you guys see that? That's what we're peaking. Right, that's good. Okay, that's 1400 done. Let's go back down to 600, and then we adjust our aerial coil for broadcast. That's this fella here. Okay, so on top we have a little screw that we can adjust this with. So can I get at him from here? Let me try and get this around. Okay, we'll go back to 600. Right there. Turn my speaker on, put the SIG-Gen on recall 11 on 600. There's 600. So the dial is certainly accurate now. That's spot on 600. Now, there's a little trimmer, well, a little, hang on. How about if I turn our audio off so I can think? I'll turn him up a bit so we've got some meter movement. The SIG-Gen is on 100 microvolts there at the moment, straight into the aerial. And he's right in there, a little antenna coil trimmer, whatever. Well, he's not a trimmer, he's a coil, antenna coil. So let's peak him. Once again, if I can get to him. There we go. And he's coming up. He's a long way out. That's well, there's the peak. It even went off. Hang on, we've lost that ground. It even went off your scale, off the camera. There you go. So let's try that again. We'll reduce our signal a bit from our SIG-Gen back to halfway, and that is actually 30 microvolts. So a pretty weak signal actually. And we peak him for that. Done. Now, when I'm finished here, I'll put a little bit of wax over the top of that so it doesn't move. That's it, guys. 600 aerial is peaked. 600 the oscillator is correct. 1400 oscillator. Well, we can't really adjust that, but it's that close, it's not funny. And the 1400 aerial is now peaked. So that's it. That's all there is. We put him there. Whoa. We have a very big signal. And we should be able to take that down, right down, and I've still got I can still hear that quite well at 1 microvolt. So, yeah, I mean, that's 2 microvolts, 4. So, yeah, this radio is performing really well. Let's turn him over, hook up an aerial, which is not much use in this place. But anyway, let's get a station on it. And that's the end of the alignment. So, the next thing, yes, bit of wax on there, couple of things to fix up. And then the case, well, the case has just got to be cleaned and a bit of polish, and it's very nice. So now we'll get on to the next thing. Right, guys, well, I'm up to doing the case. Now, something I forgot to mention to you a little bit before was this radio, the short wave. Now, I have no instructions whatsoever from the service manual on the shortwave alignment on this. What I have done, and I did this off camera because it wasn't a full shortwave setup, put the generator on 10 meg, which is around about the center of the dial, and it was spot on 10 meg according to the dial. I then peak tuned the antenna trimmer for maximum signal. That's all I've done. The lower end, excuse me, the lower end of the band, the oscillator coil can't be altered anyway. The higher end, well, yes, there's a trimmer there, which that was also spot on. We went up to the higher end, which I think, what was this one? It was 16 meg, I think, 18 meg. So this goes up to 18 meg, and it was also spot on. So the tracking, the shortwave tracking, was spot on. I wasn't going to alter that. I try and stay away from the shortwave stuff, and especially there is no details on this on how to do that. So yeah, I've stayed away from that. It works well. We'll see it all when we put it in the cabinet. So now I'm up to polishing the bottom, the top, and getting that thing in here. Okay, let's get into it. Well, guys, I've finished doing the case as good as we can anyway. She's in pretty smick order. Re-glued the grill cloth in the top there, which has come up pretty nice. It's in pretty good condition. And yeah, it looks the part. Okay, now, before we put it in the case, the radio, the power cord. Now, I still don't have any cloth 3-core power cables, so I will be putting in a normal power cable in this one, probably a black molded plug 3-core cable, until we eventually get the material ones, so the cloth covered cables, which I do like putting in. So yeah, that's where we're up to with this. So I'll put the power cable on. I am going to fuse it. We'll put in a small fuse holder. I'll just give you a couple of snippets of it. It really, these days, everything should be fused. These fellas, probably a 1 amp fuse, probably 1.5 amp. No, I'll probably put a 1 amp fuse in line with this. So it should be fused. If something goes wrong with this transformer, shorts out, you don't need a fire in one of these. So a fuse is just the done thing these days. Okay, so I'll put that in. I'll come back. I'll give you a couple of pictures of it, and then we'll put it together. Well, guys, that was extremely good timing. My cloth cords turned up today, so I've put this one on. Now I buy these from Carl's Capacitors online. Yeah, I haven't done this before, but I'll put a link in the description. I've really haven't I don't think I've experimented with links yet, but anyway, there's a few of yous watching now anyway, so I better try and cater for everyone. I've put the cord in, put a small fuse holder in here, soldered him onto a terminal block that was already in the radio, and our neutral goes to the switch. Now, some people like switching active. I like the active going to the fuse, out of the fuse to the transformer directly. So if anything goes wrong with anywhere, especially the transformer, it's the fuses on the active line. Not that it makes a lot of difference. You can put it on the neutral line if you want, but I just prefer them on the active side. Okay, so that's him. Just I put a cable tie up the top here to stop anything pulling out, to stop him coming out anyway. And I have put a new grommet in here for the cord. And now we're going to put the serial number back on. So I'll do that. Then, yeah, I think we'll put him in the case. And now that the power cord's fitted, let's give him a test. And we'll see whether he still works okay, whether everything's right, just before I put him in the case. It's looking pretty neat, this little fella. And there he goes. Okay. And of course we won't get anything. Let's see, if I hold the aerial here, we might get a station up here. And we won't play too much of that. And we got the ABC up here, 2CR. Yeah, listen to the interference on this thing. Anyway, everything is working. Let's put him in the case at long last. We'll get these off. And I'll grab the case. And just before we put it in, looking at the back, I've redone the serial number tag. I didn't redo the rivets, reason being, I didn't have any rivets that size big enough. Yeah, they were a little bit bigger than the ones I've got. The ones I've got, mostly for valve bases, these little fellas. So, yeah, there she is. We'll put him in. And, of course, I use my trusty split screwdriver. I don't know how you work without these. Right. Upside down, 3 holes. Screw him in. And one around here at the back. Here we go. Our power cord comes out, just we tuck him in behind there, and it comes out there. We can read the serial number in there, which is good. Now our aerial, I think, actually comes out on the bottom piece. You'll see that. Final check over. Everything looks right. Everything looks good. Let's get the bottom on. Now, as you can see, our aerial comes out one of these little fellas. Just there. Now, I'll tuck our knot on the inside. And actually, if we can bring this cable up, I bring our cord over here. Like that. There we go. Now, we've got a fairly long screw. Oh, gee. That washer doesn't look real good, does it? No. Just a moment. I'm going to find another washer. That doesn't look good at all. Well, I decided to give these a polish up using the original washer. I think after all these years, he deserves to be back in there. Now, just tighten him up. Not too tight. Looks good. Okay, everything's in its place. Everything's good. Here he is, guys. There we go. And there he is. Now, we'll bring this back down a bit. Up there. Give you a look around him. A Kriesler 1120 chassis. Not sure whether it's a C, D, E, F or G chassis. That's the series. All I can find on it was it's an 1120. Polished. Looking quite nice. Quite nice. I'm fairly happy with him. These are nothing, they're not a high-end radio or anything, but yeah, that will look really nice on someone's mantelpiece, maybe even my display cabinet. Anyway, let's plug him in and we'll just hear some more noise, of course. There we go. Dim bulb tells me everything's normal. Turn him up a little bit. We'll bypass the dim bulb there. Okay. And let's see, can we pick anything up?
Open around, streets late at night. Word because
Yeah, well, we all know that song.
I'm just crazy about the place.
And that sounds magic. Working really, really nice. I'd love to play that song for you. That'd cool. Okay. So there you go, guys. She's all put together. And let's see what had to be done. Well, guys, here's the casualty list. One big cap, electro, which was our 24 microfarad at our 600 volts. We've got the little 8 mic, which is totally open. That was no good whatsoever. These extremely leaky. We didn't go into testing them. We should have got back to that, but we didn't. But a 009 microfarad. He was in the tuning circuit, very leaky, and an 05, which was in audio coupling, and yeah, he wasn't real good. We replaced the 3 grommets under the tuning cup. We replaced, well, one was blown, one was okay, our little lamps out of our dial. Replaced the dial lamp wiring, which is that rubber stuff that's actually just falling apart. And of course, one of these, a dial cord that I didn't think I'd have to do, but we ended up doing anyway. Really handy. Okay, guys, there it is. Casualty list, going like a dream. Now, the next time I do a radio, I'll have an outside aerial. So we're working on this as we speak. It's never been set up in here because this area is not where I've been usually working. So yeah, we've got to get this outside aerial set up so that we can hear a little bit better on these old babies. But we know it's working. Shortwave, yeah, there's a few things in there that we picked up, but it's not worthwhile recording. There was some stations, but it works fine. Okay, if you like this, give us a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed the journey of this. It's a bit more than what I first anticipated. But if you want to follow me on the next one, which I don't know what's next, but there's a lots in here, subscribe. Hit the bell so it'll notify you as soon as I put the video up. Okay, guys, so until next time, which won't be long, bye for now.